Bonjour, je m'appelle Matt, et joie de dos diplomas. And that concludes my entire performance in French. I've been too busy learning Greek. I started with a reference kind of to tonight's movie, then I moved it into a more obscure Broadway theater reference, which was Gypsy the musical. There's a whole thing when she's like, Bonjour, je m'appelle Gypsy Rose Lee. And that concludes my entire performance in French. I've been too busy learning Greek, which I think is an innuendo for something. I just don't know what. Anyway, tonight we are back here with the Oscar Movie Marathon Week 2 to discuss yet another film that is Oscar nominated. This is one of the films that, for me, kind of snuck up under the radar. I don't think I had heard of it even in passing before the nominations came out. And then it got a ton of the like top of the line nominations, like Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, like a lot of really good stuff. And so I was eager when we were programming this to throw this into a mix because it's a movie that I was just so curious about in theory. And it just sounded like one that would be worth discussing. Also, because when that whole Barbie discussion was happening, when they were saying like, oh, Greta Gerwig didn't get the nomination, Margot Robbie didn't get the nomination, I saw people saying, oh, it's because of misogyny. And then the retort was, well, they did nominate a woman for Anatomy of a Fall. And then I was like, well, that doesn't necessarily negate the misogynistic element, but whatever, let's watch this movie because it's the female directed movie. So there we are. And I have so many thoughts. Like, I think I like this movie, but we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it. It'll be good. Let's see who we have here joining us in the chat. We have one of my cats speaking through my mom's account. Hello, humans. I did not see this movie. I'll listen to your show, Matthew. I'm busy doing. I think that's Eliza. Good evening. This movie sound. That's probably Sabrina. Sounds interesting. Oh no, this is Sabrina. Hi everyone. I will watch your show tonight. Oh, Sabrina's gonna watch. Sweet. All right. Well, let's bring on our first guest for this evening. It's Jeanette, everybody.
Hello.
Bonjour. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome. We're going to do half tonight in French and half in German.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me utilize all the French that I know real quick.
Okay.
Laissez-les bon temps rouler.
What does that even mean?
Let the good times roll.
Okay.
And vous courez.
I was actually contemplating this before.
All New Orleans related.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if Jeanette is actually fluent or at least partially fluent in French because of the whole New Orleans thing.
I do know more French than I'm letting on. I just can't think of it right now. But when I was growing up, it was very posh for your kids to take etiquette classes and go to French classes. I was not in that culture.
It's really similar to growing up in Canada. Not necessarily posh, but there was French immersion, which is where all the smart kids went. And so
the New Orleans proper schools did that. And really? I'm kind of envious. Yeah.
I couldn't fathom that, where like one day one of my friends would be gone. It'd be like, where are they? Oh, they moved to French immersion. And I would just sit there thinking,
oh, like that.
Yeah, wow. No, like it was a different school, and it wasn't even necessarily reflective, I think, of how intelligent any given child was, but that was kind of the vibe that the kids established amongst ourselves, that if you left our school to go to French immersion, like you were special in some way. But yeah, I remember distinctly thinking as maybe like a 7 or an 8-year-old, how can you learn math in French? It just made no sense.
It's hard enough learning in English. I don't want to know.
I know, exactly. So anyway, welcome. We're going to discuss the movie tonight largely in English. I'm excited. But yeah, so favorite courtroom drama movie. Let's open with that.
Oh, okay. Oh, do I know? Do I have any courtroom drama movies? I'm sure I must. All my brain keeps going to is Law and Order, but that's
TV.
That's TV. And that's like the TVest of TV. God. And then the next thing I'm thinking of is, what is it? My Cousin Vinny?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
What I'm thinking. That's just where my brain's going. It's not necessarily my favorite, but that's what I'm thinking of.
Such a good one, though.
It is, yeah. Memorable, obviously.
Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah, right?
Yes. And it's still a controversy to this day because everyone said that Marissa
Tomei. Yeah.
Everyone says she didn't that it was a mistake and that he was the announcer was drunk and that he read the wrong name, even though we know what happens now.
I was going to say, I'm like, I thought we now know what happened.
Although, but this was 30-ish years ago. So at that point, no one knew what
Yeah.
would happen. Except I finally watched that movie within the last year or two. She deserved it. She absolutely deserved an Oscar. for that.
Marissa Tomei, I mean, you don't have to convince me. I think she's great in everything she does.
Yeah, she walked so that Elle Woods could run, like in that movie specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's bring in our next guest for tonight. Who's it gonna be? It's Vince, everybody.
Hey, how's it going, folks? It's good to see y'all.
Bonjour, je m'appelle. Oh,
Bonjour, salut.
did you do French immersion, Vince?
No, not at all. I did grade 9 to 12 French class.
Oh, you made grade 12. That's impressive. I dropped it after grade 9.
Oh, you know what? No. I did a 9 to 11. Once it wasn't mandatory, I dropped it.
Okay. Oh, it was mandatory till grade 11 for you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Although maybe that might be an Ontario-wide thing. I think I was accepted from that rule because maybe I wasn't, because I went to an art school where part of the curriculum was just drama classes were programmed into every term, every single year. So I think part of that agreement was they got rid of something, and maybe it was French. Who knows? Lisa could tell us. She went through the same program.
She certainly could. I'm sure she'll be here at some point this evening.
Absolutely. So Vince, what is your favorite courtroom drama movie?
Like Jeanette, my mind immediately went to television, stuff like Better Call Saul or
Right? I know.
Night Court. Night Court was a good show. I didn't like the first episode of the remake, but Night Court was great.
Vampire? Is that the vampire show?
No. It's just like a bunch of sleazy people going to Night Court because
that would be hilarious.
Night Court's packed.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
But in terms of movies, I gotta say A Few Good Men, since My Cousin Vinny's taken. My Cousin Vinny is a spectacular film.
It is.
But A Few Good Men's pretty good too.
I'm realizing now I've never seen the film A Few Good Men. I've seen the stage play.
Oh,
I know.
I'm sure it's a hell of a stage play. Was it a play first?
Yeah, it's an Aaron Sorkin play. So
no kidding.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin of The Social Network and The West Wing, and he likes his words. He likes very wordy things, and he likes people just kind of having witty banter about
while they're walking and talking.
He did The Newsroom too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. That show went off to a really strong start, but I think fizzled out after a while. But we're not here to talk about The Newsroom.
No. But you know who probably could talk about The Newsroom is Ben Gordon.
Hey! I did watch a little bit of The Newsroom. I think I watched the first few episodes of the first season. And I remember that I had a YouTube channel that might still be there where we were like, let's take different songs and make them the Newsroom theme song. We'll put it over the Newsroom credits because the credits were kind of crazy at the time. Like
the credits
were
pretty good.
Jeff Daniels looking serious and stuff. It was such an interesting show. But some of the clips that I see online are fascinating. Like when they catch Bin Laden, but they find out when they're on a plane and they're like, guess what? We got Bin Laden. And they're all like cheering on the plane. Crazy stuff on that show.
Yes, indeed. I remember the opening scene from the very first episode when Jeff Daniels goes off.
Oh, America's stupid.
America's terrible. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, why is America the greatest country?
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to put you in your place because I'm right and I'm right and I'm right. And everybody's like,
and then
so right.
Like, not Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt is in the back of the sign. She's like, it's not. But she already had prepared, apparently.
She was ready. She was ready for his spiel.
She was.
What was that guy? What was the character's name? Do you remember, Vince? What his name was?
Will something. His first name was Will.
Will. Okay, Newsroom Will. Will McAvoy.
Yeah, that's a good news name too.
That's such a good one. He knew what job to take.
Yeah.
So Ben, what is your favorite courtroom drama film?
Man, I think A Few Good Men was like up there for me. That's a really good one. And all the shows you guys mentioned, I was just watching Law and Order today after I finished rewatching Anatomy of a Fall. My girlfriend Anna was like, let's throw on a Law and Order, and seeing, Jerry Orbach doing his thing. Like, that's fantastic. But you're asking about movies. Lumiere, that's right. You're asking about movies. A recent courtroom drama that I really liked was part of Steve McQueen's sort of television anthology series. The director of 12 Years a Slave did a film called Mangrove, which you can watch, I think, on Amazon Prime, about a real court case involving protests that were going on that were race-related around this restaurant that was open in the UK. and a lot of the protesters get arrested, and then they have to sort of plead their case in court, and it's gripping, really beautifully directed stuff. Mangrove, check it out.
What?
Nice.
What
I
intelligent?
love that somebody had I was like, somebody had something way better to offer to this conversation.
No, everything. Look,
Than like the
Law
I
and
knew
Order
it was
counts.
Legally
I
Blonde.
I
but-
put that in the chat. There's an episode of Better Call Saul, which is so good. That's all in a courtroom, I think, called Chicanery.
Oh, that's such a good episode.
Wow, Chef's Kiss. Some of the
every
best
episode of that
courtroom
show is
stuff.
so good.
That was an amazing show. That was so
Yeah.
good.
I'd also like to give a shout out to Miracle on 34th Street, the Christmas courtroom.
Oh,
movie. Of course.
the OG I just watched
Sure.
for the first time. That movie's amazing. That
Isn't
movie's
it
so good.
the original or the remake? I personally think they're both amazing. But
I haven't seen the remake since I was a kid, and I don't remember it super well. But I bet it's really. I love. Who doesn't love Matilda and Richard Attenborough?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Mara Wilson.
Mara
But I
Wilson.
do. I do love that original. The original movie is like very charming. I think
Yes.
Miracle on 34th Street is so good.
it is little Natalie Wood, and I was surprised at how different the ending is in the original versus the remake.
I don't even know the difference.
Yeah, no, I had a distinct memory of how it ended in the remake, and the original ending I think is better. Yes, because in the remake,
Intriguing.
Mara Wilson, she goes up to the judge just like the day that the court is supposed to wrap up or whatever, and she gives him a Christmas card and has a dollar bill inside of it, and then she circles "In God We Trust," and he goes on a speech about how if like the great country of America, the greatest country in the world, can put on their money that they trust in God, going on faith alone, then why can't they have the same respect for Santa Claus, and why can't you believe that he's a real person and he's like encapsulated in Mr. Kringle the way that God is encapsulated in this $1 bill, and then he gives the money back to Mara because she couldn't be like set up as bribing the court or something.
And then Will McAvoy comes and takes the card and says, "Actually, America is not the greatest country in the world." And then he
And
does this
then
whole
it's the-
newsroom
It's
spiel.
the
that
best
he does.
crossover.
It's the best of both worlds.
So here we are discussing yet another great courtroom drama, and this movie I find pretty exciting because I think it's just another entry into the library of really good courtroom movies, and it got me in a courtroom movie mood. I mean, I started researching other movies because I want to see more just lawyers yelling at each other and interrogating people on the stand, because that's what this movie has set me up for. But let's just do a quick go around, and as we usually open with, what are everyone's first impressions on this movie? I'll go first. I really liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought I'd have to force my way through it, and I did take a few breaks towards the beginning, as I told Ben before we went on the air, because I just have a short attention span when I'm left on my own to watch a movie, like in my room. That's why I like to see things in theaters, because I can't pause them. But yeah, once it got going, I was thoroughly invested both in the actual story as well as like the lead lady. I think Oscar nomination well merited. We'll discuss that as well later on, but she was captivating. She kept it going, and I sort of anticipated early on that this would end on a vague note, which it did. So that sort of attuned me into thinking, how is that going to affect her performance? Is this like Courtney Cox in that episode of Friends where everyone thinks she's pregnant and she has to play it as though maybe the audience could think that as well, even though Monica has no clue what's going on? Like, there are just layers to the performance where you know what the character knows, but you also have to put on a certain face so that the narrative makes sense. And so I found that just interesting to watch. Anyway, so much to discuss, but I liked it. I'm glad the dog survived. There we are. Yeah. Jeanette, what are your first impressions?
Super glad the dog survived. There was, however long that scene is, I did not watch
Too
this
long.
movie. So that whole thing I missed. Just know that from the beginning. First impressions. This was an extremely well-made movie, extremely well-acted movie. It is what I would call a brass tacks film. Like, it's just a movie. Like, there's some mystery, there's some intrigue, but it is like I don't want to say no special effects, because that discredits the people who do blood work. But aside from that, there's no special effects. Like, it's dry. It is a little dry, especially like you hear about the subject matter and you're like, "Ooh, this is juicy," and then you're like, "This is the driest version possible of this story."
It was dry. I thought it was so juicy.
Like a French baguette.
Sure, yes, moist, but not wet. Not, like, it was flaky and delicious, but I could have used a little sauce, I guess. But that's just me. There's blood to be had, and like I was like, where's the blood? Where's the blood?
There were three.
So, yeah.
There were 3 splatters of it on that.
There were 3 exactly. That's about all you got. That was it.
And then like
So-
a meter and a half of dragging blood.
Like the only intensely violent scene was a dog in distress, and that I can't watch that. That's useless to me. That's like it cancels itself out. So that was all I wanted, was just a little bit more like, but that's just me. That's my personal taste. It's an extremely well-made movie. I do agree that I don't know about Best Picture. Well, maybe we'll talk about it more later. Everything else, like the individual nominations, yes, totally there for. Which why I don't think that adds up, I don't know. It's not a sum of its parts. I just like it for its parts, I guess.
We'll dig into it. Oh, we got another friend. It's Lisa, everybody.
Lisa!
Hey.
Oh, hello. How's everyone doing?
Good. We're discussing
Lisa.
dead dogs in courtroom dramas.
Oh,
Yes.
fun.
Yes. Isn't it? So, what's your favorite movie with an animal in peril? That's our opening question. No,
No, it's not. No, don't.
that's not the opening-
An animal in peril.
no, what's your favorite courtroom drama? That was the opening question.
Oh, what's my favorite courtroom drama?
Yes.
Okay, well, my favorite courtroom drama is obviously 12 Angry Men with Henry
Oh,
Fonda.
so
that's a great
I was
one.
hoping someone would say that. I
Yeah,
was
like,
Okay.
I said Legally Blonde instead.
oh, that's a good one. I mean, like, I love the play, but like, I think the movie is better than the play, and like, that's shocking coming from me. But yeah, that's definitely the top one. So, but yeah, I don't know if I have the favorite movie with an animal in distress.
No, no.
Guardians of the
no.
Galaxy 3.
Milo and Otis.
Oh,
Old
Oh,
Yeller.
stop it! Everybody's. What are you trying
this
to
hurts my
do?
heart.
I'm gonna have nightmares today.
Oh,
Fox and the Hound.
I know. What is that Robin Williams movie that we watched where he's a photographer clerk guy at a
Oh,
1 hour
1 hour
photo.
yeah, with that hamster in that tiny little cage? That's animal abuse.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
That
I
is
remember.
animal
I
abuse.
remember that.
I forgot that
What a
happened.
call.
Remember when he talks about Neon Genesis Evangelion in that movie to the
Yes.
kid? He's like Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yes, yes. When
This
he has
is
the
crazy.
toy. Yes. Oh my
Yes.
god.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm
I love
I'm
that
digressing.
so
movie.
glad, I'm
Yeah.
glad you remember that, Ben. Actually, I don't remember
Right
very
up here.
much from that movie.
Oh,
Ooh,
love it.
Anna said Fatal Attraction.
Not a
Yes.
court. Do they get to
Uh,
court in that movie?
I don't remember. I
No,
saw it
it's
with
an
Anna.
animal. It's an animal in pink.
Oh, Animal.
Oh, Animal.
Movie,
It's
that's
Animal.
the-
Yes. The
I
bunny.
blocked that out. Yes.
I was thinking about courtrooms.
What's
Yes.
the animal that gets
Oh no.
A
no.
bunny.
A bunny gets boiled.
boy?
Oh God.
By Glenn Close.
My
who,
good Christ.
If anyone's going to boil a bunny, I would hope it's
Ah.
Glenn Close, you know?
Yeah, damn. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, The Anatomy of a Fall certainly fits these genres of
Mm.
Right.
courtroom drama
I
and
can't.
animal abuse.
I can't.
So what is your first impression of Anatomy of a Fall, Lisa?
I was very apprehensive watching it, like to watch it, because I was like, oh, it's like not all in English, and I don't know about the subtitles. And I didn't know anything about the actors in it or even the story. And I watched it and I loved it.
Nice.
I loved it so much. It's like top 10 favorite movies now for me.
Oh
Yeah.
Of all
wow.
time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Wow.
Stuck with me for so much of this last week. And like I was just enraptured. I was in it. I was so in it. It was so complex.
Wow.
I can't wait to like talk about my like,
I'm so excited to hear
like
more.
the tension that I've experienced with this movie. I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. Vince, what are your opening thoughts? Did I do you already? No.
You haven't done me yet. No, let's do it. Okay. So I like this movie a lot. I liked it because it also reminded me of an episode of Star Trek, very much like last week's movie.
And which
It's
episode
season
was that?
4, episode 21. And season 4 is a fantastic season because every episode after episode is a banger. But
It is.
21, you have the Drumhead, where it's this trial that it turns into a bit of a witch hunt, and everyone's dirty laundry is dragged out, and at the end, it was all for nothing. Very much like this movie, you know.
This was all for nothing.
Well, can we spoil the ending? Can I spoil the ending right now?
Spoil the ending.
Yeah.
She didn't do it.
Yes, she did.
No, she
What?
didn't.
Did she?
She
She
might have.
definitely did not.
Maybe not. We'll never
Oh
know.
my
How
God.
can we really know how
We're gonna
people
get to that
fall?
question. We're
Yes,
gonna
yes,
get to that question, I'm sure.
I'm shocked with the confidence with which
I
which
know.
Vince made that statement.
Oh,
Right. That's
I was certain of it. Anyway, I feel like they would have told us if she did, but we can get
They
into that
told us
later.
Nothing.
Have you not read and or seen John Patrick Lively's Doubt?
No, I have not.
Oh, what a
But-
shame! The delight.
That's a good one.
All right, look, I'll watch Doubt if you watch The Drumhead.
Okay.
Nevertheless, I liked the movie. I thought it was well made. I didn't hear about it at all until the Golden Globes, and then I don't know if it won anything in the Golden Globes, but
It did.
I saw some
Screenplay,
clips
I think.
watching it.
Yeah.
Screenplay,
She won something.
hey, it's a good screenplay. There's no doubt about it. But I think my favorite part about the movie was that it was mostly English. And
That was such a pleasant surprise for me.
I know.
oh, that was
It
splendid.
was
Hours
like
of
half
fun
and
for it.
half, wasn't it?
Yeah,
A lot
there
of
was
it English.
there was enough English to keep me happy, and the important stuff was in French, so I remembered it better
Oh,
because I was
boy.
reading
What
it.
are you guys gonna do whenever we get to the Boy and the Heron?
That's not in English.
There's a
What,
dub.
isn't there
if
an
you wanna
English
watch
dub?
The dub. There's
I'm
a Robert
watching the dub.
Pattinson dub. Where he's
I
the
wanna
heron.
watch the Robert
Hey,
dub.
I love Robert
Oh.
And he's like,
Pattinson.
"Come along with me. I'm the heron." It's really good. He does a good
Oh,
voice.
I didn't know that they had like all-star dubbing. I
Yeah,
thought it was
Mm.
oh.
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't
you
seen
see
the
the
dubbed
all-star
version, but I heard
dubs.
it's good stuff. The dub.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually Susan Egan dubs for them. Or I don't know if usually, but I know she did Spirited Away.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Susan Egan being Meg from Hercules and Broadway's original Belle. We love her
Mhm.
on this channel. Yeah.
Wow.
Now I'm excited.
Yeah, and Spirited Away. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
can't remember what else she did. But yeah, she's done I think she's done at least 2 Ghibli dubs, or maybe I'm making that up. Who knows? I know she's in Spirited Away. Ben, what do you think of this movie?
So, did she do it? Did she not do it? You're all wrong. The dog did it. That's the obvious thing
what
at the
I
end of the movie.
said.
That's
Yeah.
what Matt was joking about, but the dog was with the boy.
The dog
Um,
doesn't walk.
In all seriousness, I had heard of this movie because it won the Cannes Film Festival's biggest prize. It won the Palme d'Or this summer, and I was like, "What is this movie?" I had heard of a film that the director Justine Triet had made a few years ago called, I think it's called Sybil. I haven't seen that film, but this was a big sort of festival movie, and it had a lot of momentum for the last few months. And I saw it for the first time, I think just in December, maybe. And my honest feeling is that I thought it was fine. Like, it didn't really hit me the way that it's hit a lot of people. I, like everyone here, really admire the craftsmanship. I admire how it was directed,
Yeah.
how it was acted. I think that for me, I think ambiguity is a wonderful thing in film and television and stories. But I think that in this case, I found the ambiguity of the film to be very blunt. Like, I thought that the way that it was implemented in this movie to me was a little bit obvious. And so because I felt sort of aware of that as I was watching it, I felt like it was difficult for me to really maybe appreciate what to me was being kind of like depicted as nuance, if that makes sense. That I knew that every little gesture and line, that we could read these like multiple interpretations into it. And so I felt a little bit like, if the point of the movie isn't did she or did she do it, but rather relationships in general are complicated and we can never really know another person. And if we get into the kind of weeds of maybe, the relationship that's sort of the core of the movie, I didn't know if that was really enough for me to feel like I got a satisfying meal out of it. But I also say that without wanting to damper anyone's enthusiasm, because this movie's very well received, and it's gotten a lot of praise, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see it being discussed for sure. But for me, when it comes to the Best Picture nominees this year, I'm kind of in the middle on it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Ooh, so much to discuss. So I guess let's just go straight to the ambiguity question, since, well, spoiler, I guess we've already discussed it as it were, but we don't really get a definitive answer. She is like declared to be innocent, but is she actually? Who knows? So what was everyone's thoughts? Like, do people think she did it? Do people not think she did it? Let's just do a quick go around there. Let's start with Ben.
By the end of the movie, I feel like she's innocent by the end. I feel like the movie and the point, it's funny to me because the whole time I feel like she's just going, this isn't the point. The point isn't if she did it or did it, do it. The point is that what is it that we believe? And what we believe, we have to pick a side, because this is what her kid is told. Mm-hmm. We have to pick a side, and we have to lean into that side as much as we can. And that is as close to the truth as will ever come. And because the movie really hinges on the little blind boy, what's his name? On Daniel's testimony at the end about, I cannot see a reason why my mother would murder my father, but I can see a reason why my father would harm himself. That to me is such a crux of kind of the drama, of the movie. And so that to me is like kind of not the deciding argument, but the argument we're left with. And so I lean towards that she's innocent, but that's just me.
Oh, well said. Lisa,
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think she's completely innocent. I read an article that the writer, her main purpose for creating this movie was to write a female character who was like unapologetically innocent, but not play the victim. And I think like she definitely succeeded in that. And I think Sandra Hüller, the actor who plays Sandra, is like succeeds in that completely. There's like no ambiguity for me until the son's testimony. Like there was a part of me that like when they get home and like she gets into bed with the dog, I was like, oh my God, like maybe there's like another twist. But I feel like her being home and being with her son was just like so complete for me that I was like, no, like there's like, it's just this, like, she's a complicated woman. Like she's innocent, but she's also like maybe not likable, and that's perfectly fine. And so, yeah, completely innocent. And I think with knowing what the writer's intention was for this character, like makes perfect sense. So
yeah, I think it's interesting hearing that was what her intention was, because I hadn't read that, but I read that she purposely didn't give any indication as to whether Sandra was guilty or not to the actor. And I felt like that was a really interesting choice, or like a bold choice as a director.
Well, like also like if you tell the actor like you have to play innocent, right? Like that colors the character for you as a performer in a very different way than when you are being told by the people who are like collaborating with you. It's like, no, you might not even know. Like maybe you did, maybe you were in like a psychosis state, who knows? Like I think that was like an intentional thing to tell, of like, we got to play this in like a sense that you don't know yourself. And I think that's kind of brilliant in a directorial role. So
yeah. I think that, like I alluded to earlier, I think that's a big strength in her performance, is that I think it's played practically from a stance where you could read it either way, potentially. Still like making sense to her. And it made me think back to, again, the play Doubt / the movie Doubt, and the impression that I've gotten when people work on that, typically the director doesn't give a direction to the guy playing the priest as to whether or not he's guilty. Because I know when they did it at my university, the guy who played the priest, he didn't tell anyone what he decided. He like made the reveal on closing night, and they went through the entire process, like just not knowing what was going on in his head. And I find that just like really fascinating. to go through the entire process of mounting something, like whether it be a movie or a play, where discussion is key and character journey is such a key point to explore between director and actor. But to have that almost division, I'm just interested to know what that's like, because I feel like there's such inherent trust that you have to have for one another as actor and director to make the thing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like it's truly like this movie really shows like the brilliant collaboration between writing, directing, and acting. And like it's just, I don't know, as a person who is like thrives on like a really, you know, like complex stories and like scripts that like don't have clear through lines, like you don't know where it's going to go, like it's such a juicy thing to see. So yeah, it was just delightful to watch and be like on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Vince, is she guilty or innocent in your eyes? What's your jury vote?
Look, I think she's innocent of the crime she was accused of, but she's guilty of being a toxic lover. There's no
I
doubt
don't know
about
that. I think he was the toxic lover.
I
think it's pretty toxic if you just go to your mate and be like, yo, I'm gonna have this, like, I'm gonna do this open relationship thing. We don't have an open relationship, but I'm gonna go do this thing. That's
no, I mean, like, okay, yes,
she's like, I was honest about it. Like,
she cheated on him, but like clearly, like he, like, instead of ending the relationship, he just like continued resenting her and like blaming her for his life. And that's pathetic. I'm sorry. Like the husband is like such a pathetic character to me.
Yeah.
I can't.
People are so complicated.
But
Everyone is at fault.
yes, no, she's not innocent in that regard.
Yeah. He made her live there with the goats. That's what it was.
The goat.
When she's like, I'm here with the goats.
But that's the compromise. They meet in the middle with the goats and with speaking
I
English in the
I
house.
love that she mentions the goats specifically.
Oh,
We don't
but you
see any goats, once again, ambiguous.
you just know they're
but
there.
We know they're there. Yeah.
Sorry, Vince. I didn't.
Anyway,
interrupt you.
so for the reasons mentioned by my peers here, I think he clipped himself, and I think the blood splatter guy agreed with me on that. I think they came up with a pretty good reason as to why the blood was streaked on the wall like that.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
I dug it, you know. And I think OJ did it too for that exact reason. The experts and the blood.
Yeah.
I'm
OJ
sorry for bringing
a
up
lot on
OJ.
this
Hey,
Too
you
soon.
brought up OJ like 2 weeks ago.
I know, and during the Adventures in Wonderland episode last year, we brought up OJ.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's because it's around the same time period.
Yes, because there was a lost episode of that wonderfully delightful Disney Channel show because OJ Simpson was the guest star for the final episode of the series, and they just never aired it because it was supposed to come out the same time that all that happened. Anyway,
Oh no.
right? Anyway, yeah, orange juice, great.
Anyway, yeah. So I think she's not a murderer per se.
She is a philanderer, though.
She is.
And there's no crime there again, and he knew. Well,
It depends.
he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally felt like it was somewhat hypocritical that like the timeline was where certain lines were drawn. It was like, well, I know that it happened then, but all of a sudden now this one, because it happened after whatever happened, like after this communication was had, now it's wrong. It was like it's all the same as it was before. Rules were established or not, but you didn't do anything. Actually, maybe I don't like him either.
No, he's pathetic.
But also I feel bad because he's the victim. He died.
He did fall.
He did fall.
Maybe.
Just because you die doesn't make you a different person.
That's true.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you don't get any sympathy from me.
I mean, you can get sympathy, and I can still think whatever the hell I thought about you when you were alive.
What he should have done was get a better therapist, honestly. Like his therapist seemed very he was a toxic therapist.
Oh, the therapist was awful.
Yeah,
Weird,
like
weird hair too, like really
Yes.
bushy.
Well, they all have
I couldn't get over the lawyer's hair. Like,
If your therapist looks like Eugene Levy, probably don't.
yeah,
Like,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Unless it is Eugene Levy, then
Unless
then
it is
you-
Eugene-
yeah.
But like, if it looks like Eugene Levy playing Eugene Levy, like Maybe don't do that.
Levy or Levi?
Levi?
It's Levy.
Levi?
I think
I
it's
thought it was
Levy.
Levy.
Levy,
Levy.
Levy,
Eugene
Levy.
Levy.
Yeah, like him.
And my son Dan Levy.
Just
Yeah,
say
I
it
went to
in
York with Matt and Ben.
just say it in French.
Levi. Melvin.
Levi?
I don't know. Jeanette, is she guilty or no?
So I was ready to believe she was fully innocent. The thing that gives me pause, and now let me put it this way: I don't think that she's fully innocent, but I don't know the course of events that would have necessarily exactly. Like I don't know that. I don't think she pushed him with the intent of, and I don't think she hit him with anything. I think, like much like the fight before, maybe some. But anyway, the thing that gives me pause is when they go back to the house and she goes to give her son the hug and she kind of like cuddles up with him.
Mm.
She doesn't hold him and like coddle him.
Mhm.
He holds her and like soothes her. Like, I took care of it. It's okay. I feel like this memory of his dad was a manufactured memory.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like this kid
Huh.
went, well, my dad's dead, so I'm not going to defend him. My mom's still here. Like, that was kind of, so like once I saw that, I thought about it and I'm like, I feel like this kid all of a sudden had a weekend to himself and had lots of time to think up
How
something
to kill a
useful.
dog. And yeah.
And to see if that story would fit to cover his mom's story with the, you know, I don't know. Like I was ready to believe she was innocent, and then the thing with him holding her, just the body language of him stroking her head and kissing her, like it's all okay now. It's all sorted out. Like that was what I got from that scene. And then how afterwards she's like relaxing, almost like she's like, and you just hear like the breathing, like she's, I don't know. There was no, she didn't like, I also didn't like, and I know grief is different for everybody, but like there wasn't a period other than a couple of crying bouts. Like after everything was over, she didn't go and like, oh, now I can breathe and like break down or like freak out. Like, I don't know. Literally the last like 3 minutes of the film are what made me change my mind about her being innocent.
And to Jeanette's point too, the testimony, that scene when we see him in the car is all vocalized through the little boy. Like everybody's voice, the father's voice is the little boy's voice. So even if we fall on different sides of maybe who this woman is and what she did and didn't do, it does speak to your point, Jeanette, that we don't hear the father's voice in that scene. We hear the son's voice, which is an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
There's also like one point in the movie when she's retelling, or someone is retelling the possibility of the fall happening.
Mhm.
And it's the first time and the only time in the entire movie we see a clip from the room and Sandra is out there with her husband, like on the balcony or like just at the window. And like we never see, like it's like a split second. Like if you blink, you could possibly miss it. But I remember thinking like, well, that's strange. Like, is that because like the other side, like the other lawyer is like trying to paint a picture to make it but then why are we like seeing it?
Yeah, but they do counter it by showing him also like the possibility, the visualized possibility of falling.
Yes. Yeah.
So like it is I felt like it was establishing this this convention almost of we're going to show you things that didn't necessarily happen just to sort of paint a visual picture in your mind. I think the scene that Ben was talking about was the payoff of that ultimately, because like that scene to me establishes or makes me think that he's absolutely making up the story. So I feel like my perception of the whole thing is that he is probably innocent, but Daniel also lied a lot the whole time.
Yeah.
Especially, or at the very least that part, because he's so inconsistent where he's like, the tape was there, but no, it wasn't. I was inside. No, I was outside. I heard them, but I didn't. I'm confused.
He's a little blind boy.
Well, no, and
But that's what. Sorry, Jeanette.
He's
but
he's very perceptive, though. He's a very smart.
That bothers me, but yeah.
And I don't think that he's making up everything. There is an element of shock. I don't think he knew Oh, that's something I hadn't thought about. So literally right now, as the words were coming out of my mouth,
Yeah.
maybe he was in on it with his mom
There was a moment
from the get-go and like knew it was going to happen. And that's why he left the house and came back and he knew it was going to happen.
No, but
Right.
then he wouldn't have had the screaming moment because that wasn't for any, like there were no witnesses to see that happen. Where he
That's
was like,
true.
mom, and then yeah, like if there was complicity between the two of them.
That's true.
For a
That's
kid to make up this kind of like entirely this notion of I had a conversation with my father in the car and we talked about death and we talked specifically about Snoop's death. Gotta love Snoop.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to talk about it, but my father was really telling me, everybody dies and you have to be prepared and it's very difficult. And I realized that what we weren't really talking about was Snoop. We were talking about him. That's such a like incredibly mature thing to recognize for a little boy that age. Like this kid is like he I think I like what he's a little bit of a device to me sometimes because he's blind and he can't, not because he's blind, but that does add the element of, well, he can't see, but can he speak the truth? And he kind of is like, he's just so eloquent and so, able to kind of like summarize
this so much better than anyone I've ever heard before.
Right. Yeah. And so it is interesting to me. I really love, Jeanette, kind of what you're saying, even though I read into it a little bit more as like a potentially an actual conversation, but yeah, I feel like he's just a little bit too like not perfect, but he serves a device in the story very like very obviously to me, if that makes sense. Like I know what he's doing there by the end. Yeah, I get a little bit like okay about it.
Yeah. No, they did start to use it a bit. Like at the beginning, I felt like I was questioning, is this kid blind? For like the first few minutes, like, oh yeah, he's impaired. Okay. But then like by the end of the movie, that's like all that we're really talking about with him.
Like she's like he's a normal kid. He uses social media. He loves to be a normal kid. And I'm like, no, he's like a genius. And he's incredible at giving court testimony. Like
he's like European. Like European.
He's very European.
Are just smarter than us in America.
Although their court system, watching this movie, I do have questions.
Okay,
and we'll talk about that at some point.
Well, I was gonna say, can we address that? Because like I'm watching this going, I wonder how accurate this is about the French justice system.
Yeah.
If this is how they're allowed to question people and make suggestions willy-nilly and go on and on.
When he brought up the book and like was like, well, you've written about people thinking about murder.
I was like, come on.
I was like, that would never pass in the Canadian court system ever. What the hell? Oh my God.
This is the country that had the reign of terror we're talking about here, where they were just, coming up with any reason to lop someone's head off with the guillotine. So you know what? I buy it and I appreciate it. I was more immersed in it. I'm like, oh, this is France. This is like life or death here. This is crazy stuff. Well, I enjoyed that.
It was very French. I thought they were bringing like the relationship drama to the forefront and like all the infidelity stuff and all that.
When
I was like,
he brought up that like she was bisexual and like she like being a German woman was like unfazed by it, but everyone else was like, like I was like, oh my God. The height of biphobia in the middle of a court.
Also biphobia in France and Germany, like the least likely countries to feel that way about that. I feel in Europe.
Like,
but Lisa, you bringing up the bringing the relationship to the forefront, like to me, that's so much more like what Justine Triet is like really interested in, almost less. Or she's interested in that more than like the verdict or even if she did it or not. Like to me, the movie is so much about like it's like airing this couple's like dirty laundry out and being, all these fragments having to be put together into a compelling story. Yeah. And does the story make sense? And is the story interesting? And, I feel like that's really like where she gets sort of like excited about the material. So yeah, that kind of thing that they're doing, I think that's why she's like, I think that's the stuff she's really latching on to. Yeah, like let's mention her bisexuality. Let's mention his infidelity. Let's mention that 50 Cent's PIMP instrumental steel drum cover is misogynistic, but this is the instrumental version. So it's sustained, overruled. Like it's funny, these kinds of like minute details that get really picked apart in a weird and sometimes unbelievable way in this movie.
Did everyone else feel like they were very, well, I guess not weirdly invested, but they were so heavily invested in writing, both of them, and just kept coming back to writing and how writing was like the reason for being.
That got talked about. That was one thing that really got overmilled for me, like just a touch. How we were talking about like towards the end, the blindness kept getting touched on a little bit too much. I was like, okay, again, like you said, it was a device. That was the only other thing that I remember being like, okay, I get it. You need to find some other driving force here, because this is getting really old to at least literally hearing about it over and over again.
I loved the whole writing thing. Like they're two artists and they're two very different artists. Like she's so pragmatic with like the things that she creates in her work, and he's like so emotional and like is again so pathetic. But like it was, I don't know, maybe I'm just like I have such like a spot for like artist stories where I'm like, oh, like I feel this and I see both sides. And yeah, I don't know. I do think like the most impactful scene was the climax scene of the entire movie, which is their fight.
The recording, or yeah.
Recording. And when they get to that whole writing part about how like he doesn't have enough time to write and like blaming her, I was like, this is like a very like common thing amongst like artists and like artists who are in partnerships with other artists or artists who have families. Like, I don't know, like it's such a thing. And like I get it from his perspective, but also it's just like you put yourself in this position, buddy. Like you're the one who wanted to move out here to France. You wanted to fix up this house. You left the book unfinished and you said yes for her to like take up the outline. Like, I don't know. It just like, it really documented that like he was the problem in his own life and like he couldn't, and he just like couldn't accept it. I mean, I guess he did because he offed himself, but
or he fell.
Maybe.
Or someone pushed it. Either way, I don't know. I love the writing. Like I love and when she started talking about in the courtroom how like he had this like interesting relationship with time and writing. And like they were like, we're not talking about that. I was like, no, like that's so.
But then they went on to talk about that for like,
because it was in the recording. Yeah. I don't know. I love. I could have just listened to them fight about their crafts all night long. I would have loved to be a fly on that wall.
I just think at a certain point it started to annoy me, and I wasn't sure if it was just me watching as a viewer or if I was annoyed with them as humans who were more invested with their work than they were with one another or anyone or even their child. And yeah, and actually that's one of the things, not necessarily related to writing, but that I read when I was like going through different people's perceptions of the ending, is someone pointed out that as soon as she's like found innocent and goes home, one of the first things she does is tries to get that other lady to look after the kid the next day. She's like, well, back to normal life. Look after the kid, please, I have to write. And so she just, I don't like her, but I do.
Likeable.
Well, I think that's part of the point, right? Like Lisa already said, like these are supposed to be very, very average people, like everyday people that we are like, you can't base it on, right? Like that's the jury's not getting to base it on that. Whether she's like what she did in the stuff we would see her do like in everyday life. They're just getting it based on. And honestly, I mean, I don't know if anybody has gone through the court system for any particular reason, but I love the point that they made in this movie of, and he says it to some degree, like, it does not matter if you're innocent. It matters what we can prove, what evidence what it sounds like. Like
Beginning.
that is
yeah.
such a frustrating thing to live and to deal with. Like no matter what the outcome is on the other side, whether you come out on the positive end of it or not on your decision, what that court hears about you when you're there, like especially if you're in some sort of blindsided situation, like I would assume this character is. It doesn't sound like she's been through court for any particular thing before, but to not know how to defend yourself, to not know what to say and not to say, you know.
Yeah, and also like the language barrier. Like, yes, she can kind of get by in French, but like she's a German woman who is stronger with English. Like,
Yeah.
like the court, like I think they really captured the complicatedness of a court system for someone who's not used to it, who's not from that country. Yeah, and like what you're saying, Jeanette, being blindsided.
Yeah.
They
Kind of.
yeah, I think the line is when her hot lawyer shows up because he's so fine. He shows
The
up
one with the awful
flowing
haircut
locks.
or the one with the
Yeah.
flowing hair?
The one
flowing
that
hair. Her lawyer.
Yeah, her
And
okay.
she's like, I didn't do this. And I think what Jeanette's saying is when he goes, that's not the point. And
Yeah.
to me, that's when he's like, that's not the point, but it is the point of this motion picture. And we're going to show that to you for the next 2 hours. And they do. And they show that to you that it's not the point if whatever actually happened,
Yeah.
If it was, then Justine Triet would, consider showing us beyond where she cuts off in that argument. And when you start hearing physical altercation, she decides not to show the audience. Sandra Hüller's character knows what happened in that moment. But that's the movie deliberately withholding because that's what everybody in the courtroom's experiencing. So, she kind of has a bit of a convenient position as a filmmaker to go, okay, now I can put you into this more subjective space of this character, and now I can take it away from you, and you can be in the headspace of someone who's observing in the courtroom. So yeah, that line that you brought up, I think is like that's the key, and it unlocks the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a brilliant. No, I was just gonna say, like, so brilliant. It's like a brilliant thing that like a filmmaker does. Like sometimes a filmmaker will like show too much, and you're like, I didn't need to see that. Like,
well, and I'm starting to realize that that's what she meant to do now that we're talking about it. Like when we're supposed to realize that we're supposed to know exactly whatever the jury knew, maybe like a little bit more, but like,
yeah,
it's all evidence and then you build it up and decide for yourself.
And kind of outside of that, I feel like the movie does a lot to explore like having restricted access to information, both in terms of giving us almost the same amount of information that the jury has, but even just the choice to have Daniel's character be visually impaired and having like the key witness not be able to see, as it were. And then even the language barrier just between like the German and the English and the French. So like, why do you think that is? Is it just to put the audience into a similar headspace of what can I objectively be sure of versus what is my subjective experience of the information being thrown at me? Or is there a more thematic purpose to it, to all of that, like the language thing, the visual impairment plus the jury experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think as from a writer's perspective, all of these things are devices, even the characters themselves. Mm-hmm. Like that's how we tell stories. Like we purposely make a character a certain way, or like limit their knowledge in a certain way, or limit their ability in a certain way to drive the story for whatever reason, like whatever your objective is trying to come across as the storyteller. So yeah, I think like to an extent, yeah.
Like could the same movie have happened if it was all in English and if Daniel wasn't visually impaired? Do we think?
I think that the language thing doesn't have as much to do with it as we feel it does, just because of where we are in the where we live in the world.
Yeah,
but
like them talking in English.
I feel like oof. Yeah, well, I feel like over there, like that's a valid like discussion / argument in households, because there is more likely to be someone like in Germany where all the signs are printed in English and German, a lot of times in English first and German second in their own country. Whereas in France, and again, I've never been to either place, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going off like pictures, videos, and people who I know who have been there. In France, it's more likely to just be just French everywhere. Like French is, they will speak French first and then like maybe try to help you in English. So like, I thought that was just a nice point of authenticity to this movie, with that the German speaker was like, I'm way totally comfortable in English. I'm not even going to try to get anybody around me to speak German. But that the French speakers were like, well, I'm having to speak a different language. I would much rather be speaking
That's
French.
very
And if you're in this courtyard, you are going to speak French, you know, like,
So French.
So
I felt like that was just a testament to the authenticity. I didn't think it had a ton to do with the story other than backing up this whole, like, here are some years of trials between these married people. Like, this is just yet another, another drop in the bucket of issues that they had that created tension.
Yeah. Anna made a good point. When we get the American remake with Naomi Watts, we'll get to see that movie.
no, not that. No, you know what, Vince, you said something amazing when we were watching it.
Sometimes I do.
You do. You were so the woman at the beginning that comes to interview Sandra, and like they have that whole like flirt off, which was amazing. Vince, you said like this woman's like gorgeous, but like you could see that like she's not like a perfect Hollywood starlet, you know, like you can see blemishes. She's not wearing a bunch of makeup. And like, I think that's kind of the charm of this movie. It's like very European. And like, if it is like a Hollywood remake, I don't know. I think like the charm would like be taken out of it. Like, I love that like Sandra Hüller just looked like a regular German woman. Like it was great. It was such a good, I don't know. It was a good slice of life. And
have you guys seen Sandra Hüller in a film before? Is this your first time seeing her?
No.
I've seen clips of her in Zone of Interest.
Yes. So the Zone of Interest, that movie's fascinating.
Which
and
I'm regretting that we didn't include that one now because I didn't know what the hell it was about, and I just found out, and I found out it's A24, and I'm like, great. Now I have to watch.
It is the most unlikely Best Picture nominee.
I got
one of the most unlikely Best Picture nominees I've ever seen. Is a fascinating movie, and we should talk about it on the prediction show. But she's had quite a year because she plays a Nazi commandant's wife in that film, and is equally great. She's phenomenal. Did you guys ever see Toni Erdmann? That you might like that one. That's a 3-hour comedy, German comedy, where she plays a woman whose dad.
The Germans make comedies?
He keeps showing up in her life to do jokes and to be funny, and she's like a businesswoman, and she's very much like, stay away from me. And it's like about this father-daughter relationship, and he keeps coming to do practical jokes. And that might have been
3 hours
or two. I can't remember, but it was a big, like, kind of a big festival movie and stuff. That was the first time I had seen her before. It won. It premiered in competition at Cannes. I don't know if it won, but yeah, she is a really talented actor, and it's great to see her getting Academy recognition, and to be in 2 Best Picture nominated films. I think it's pretty cool.
It is her year. So I mean, well, perfect segue. Let's discuss her and her Best Actress nomination. Do we feel it's merited? Do we think she deserved the Best Actress nomination? Maybe not the win, but the nomination or the win. What are people's thoughts?
I'm glad to see her I'm glad to see her recognized for it. You know, she's a big reason, I think, why the movie is resonating with a lot of people. Yeah, I'm glad to see her there.
Yeah, me too. Like, I don't think she's gonna win, and I don't think she should win in the company that is in that category. But like, the nomination is well merited. Like, I think it's tough to play an unlikable character.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of subtlety in this role, and she did that well.
I find that it's a lot easier to play an unlikable character if you're German.
No, this is true. This is true.
Valid.
Wait until you see
Fair-
Zone of Interest.
It's a fairly dry demeanor to begin with, right? So like it kind of fits. I
Yeah.
feel like she is German. So like I mean that's you don't I guess I shouldn't praise her for playing that well, but I felt like the parts of that she needed to bring out in this character, she did a really good job of. Because like, you know, I'm sure she's not like that exactly, I would assume.
I would hope not.
She's a little dismissive of other people. Like that to me, like that's a trait, not dismissive of other people's feelings, but like the German thing of like, oh, why would I worry? Why are you worried? You know, why is anybody worried about that? I don't need to worry about that. Like that's a trait that I've become familiar with any German people that I've met or people of German descent that are heavily influenced by that. So that I thought that was, you know, like her frankness about I told him and then I did it. And then, you know, no, it wasn't an open relationship, but I was honest about it. I'm like, that's an open relationship. I don't know how else you want to define that other than a one-sided, the door only moves one way. I don't know. Like, but yeah, just that whole attitude about it. Like, yeah, well, I mean, I didn't mention that because why are you worried about it? You know,
I think if these characters are like in some sense devices to explore these sort of ideas around ambiguity and around fragmented relationships and being able to know people. I mean, these movies, they're really like, there's a lot of themes being hammered home through this movie. I think it's to her credit that she feels so real in it, that we believe her as a real, you know, full-blooded person that is flawed, that is struggling, you know, is relatable in some ways and maybe not other ways, but she seems like a fully developed character, and I think a lot of that beyond the writing comes from that performance. Yeah,
it's interesting to me to see this compared to Lily Gladstone last week, because like obviously I go into both of these movies now with the Oscar context, knowing that they're one of the major draws since they're like both best actor or best actress nominees, and I find myself thinking I see why you were nominated, but also if I saw this movie before nominations, would you have been on my personal radar? Because I think it's a good, competent performance. But at the same time, is there anything here that would ordinarily stand out to me to think like I want to give you a statue made out of solid gold, or at the very least gold plated? And like the differentiating factor for her, at least, well, like I was saying with Lily last week, this performance gave me the speech that I was waiting for with Lily, even though I recognize now in retrospect why Lily was so good. But like, Sandra got the speech. So I got the scene where she was screaming and I saw the emotion and the veins coming out. I was like, yeah, okay, good. There it is. But yeah, as I've said previously, I think the added factor that gives her performance value for me is that she had to play the ambiguity for the movie to work on like its main conceit of did she do it or did she not? Like there still has to be the seed of doubt instead of confirming it. So I think from an acting perspective, there's value to that, but also at the same time, it was just like it felt to me like a good performance of a realistic seeming human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I say one thing? So this, I thought about this when I was watching. I'm like, I don't know if I still feel this way, but the more we talk about it, I kind of do enough to where. So I don't know how many people watched or tried to watch that movie. What is it? A Divorce Story? The Adam Driver.
Marriage Story.
Marriage Story. Yeah.
Marriage Story.
He's saying being alive from Company.
Anyway, this movie was like if that movie actually had a freaking point and like something going on in it at all. Like actual something happening at all.
Yeah.
Another Adam Driver movie that I just really, really wanted to like and just I tried to watch that movie 3 times. I started that movie 3 times and I was like, there's nothing.
It was bullshit. It was
another one, like nobody's likable in that movie. But unlike this movie, there's no reason for me to stay invested to find out why I care about these people.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because like I don't know. I really just did not care about their relationship in that movie. And like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Here, at least they give me a death to make
also,
me care.
You don't know what their relationship is in this movie until you hear the recording and you see the fight, right? And then you're like, wait, like this is the drama. You get the drama from the beginning of the Marriage Story, and it's like, Okay, so this is the whole movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need somewhere to go. You need somewhere
Too
to
many
go.
veins popping out of the head scene.
Yes, I agree
Enough with the veins popping out of the head.
So then what do we think was the point of this movie? Is it a relationship exploration, or is it meant to be the question of how much can you trust another person, which I guess is a relationship examination, but in the context of courtroom ambiguity, like what do you think we're supposed to take away from this movie? Because the more I think about it, the less I know, because I really like the novelty of not knowing. I find that very intriguing, but I'm not sure what I should take away from it as a human who wants to learn something from art.
I think it's one of those movies that's supposed to remain like one of those ones, like take from it what's good for you. Like, because there are so many, you can take a women's lib angle. You can take like, in my opinion, this movie is a statement on marriage / repressed, like, I don't know, like heterosexual relationship, but not necessarily just pointing at the sexual. There's just like marriage and like long-term monogamous relationships in general, but more so like what makes a relationship bad, what makes it, like that's my personal take from it. But then like there's at least 3 other angles right on the surface that you could take from it, I think. So like I think it's a piece of art that someone intended for that to be the point of it, for you to take what's good for you to take from it.
I agree with you, Jeanette. I mean, what I take away from it is like an iconic bisexual character on screen. I love the representation, although not the prettiest in terms of like she might have done it. But aside from that, and aside from the marriage heteronormativity and like compulsory monogamy, I do think that like in courts, like I took away a lot of like what the court system does to people, to families, how it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's actually the opposite. No matter what, like you have to prove your innocence because you're being accused of being guilty. I think, and like the whole mystery of it, I think to take away from this movie of like, oh, you got like a decent mystery story out of it. Like if you like mystery, you might like this because you don't know what's going to happen. Well, I guess we've spoiled it for you, but either way,
it is. Yeah.
Two writers, right? They fall in love. One of them's French, a stereotypical Frenchman, emotional, a romantic. He's passionate.
Other than not wanting to have multiple partners, that's very un-French of him. But yeah.
Well, I mean, romantic in terms of his attitude towards his craft.
Yeah.
And the other, a German, cold, calculating, but churns out stories with fatal efficiency. These two don't realize that they do their best when they work together. He started the outline. She finished it, turned it into a 300-page. Some people said it was her best work. And they didn't realize in that moment that together they created something better than the sum of its parts. And that's kind of the issue here. You put the French and the Germans together and something bad happens. The Franco-Prussian War, World War I, World War II. I'm a plumber, right? By day, when I'm not out doing paranormal investigations. And this might get a little grotesque, but can I explain the differences between a French and a German toilet?
German toilets are so crazy.
German toilets are wild because they have this thing called a continental shelf. Yes, a continental shelf. Because doctors in Germany will tell you to examine your own excrement in order to determine your digestive health.
Okay.
It makes sense. However, the French toilet is different from our toilets in the sense that there's a little ramp in there, so the excrement sits completely out of sight.
Yep.
So that's what's going on here.
That's this movie.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. I thought that it was the authenticness of like the different mindsets of these two people. Yeah. No, that's it.
Baby, you should have been written into the story as a commentator, as like a mailman being like, or like a next door neighbor being like, I'm here overhearing your argument here.
I
Can I
also
ask you
want
which
to say,
toilet you have? Yes.
Yeah.
no, I've got an American toilet. It's good. American standard. Nothing better. But I also really like the guy who played the litigator. I know we're not talking about that, but that's his. I think he was only credited as the litigator in French. But the bald guy, I thought that was a
bald
good
guy.
actor.
Terrible haircut. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
a really good actor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
I wish
hate
he
it.
had some hair.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
He was the real villain of the story. He was
Oh,
the
yeah.
real antagonist. Yeah.
And made some inane legal arguments during that
Yeah,
trial.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I would really
It was
love
like
to know
two-
how accurate this is to the French
Yeah.
justice. Like, I
If
just really want to
anyone-
know how much of this is admissible in an actual French court.
Yeah.
At a
If
certain
anyone
point, it
in
felt like had
France,
a personal vendetta as well. Like it felt like there was a conflict.
Mhm.
maybe he was cheated on by a bisexual woman and is
By
just
bisexual
like
German,
so,
maybe.
he's like so like, "Ugh, let's take her down.
Maybe he was cheating with the husband.
Let me just say,
yeah.
can I just say, I'm not going to get into super personal detail here, but can I just throw this out there that guy, that was like, I don't know that that's in the French justice system, but he really brought out, if you go into a courtroom as a woman defending yourself for any reason, the angle they're going to take at you. Like he just like it just shows it's just the same. It's just the same. It's very predictable. That's the way they're gonna go. That is the angle they're gonna take no matter what. It does not matter. It's wild. I was like, oh my God, this is in this movie. And like it was again the authenticness of this movie. Like it just felt like watching real people.
Mhm.
It was like it really is.
And what got me was that he treated the kid exactly the same way that he treated basically all the adults. There was no,
Yeah.
I guess we don't want coddling, but at the same time, I guess I thought maybe we'll get to see him slightly humanized because he's talking to a
No.
child whose father was
Yeah.
just murdered. But if anything, he was harsher. He was like, I
Mhm.
don't believe you.
Yeah.
10-year-old. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Didn't help his case in the end. You know?
Well, and that woman, the woman judge was not a fabulous.
Mhm.
Like nobody is likable in this movie other than the freaking like sexy lawyer. Like that's he's the only nice person in this
Dog, yeah.
movie.
The dog, and
Well,
the
that's
woman,
not a person. It's a dog.
the woman who was interviewing at the beginning, she was likable.
The
I want-
babysitter
No,
seemed like a nice
no.
lady.
She seemed like
Mm.
Her sidekick seemed nice.
the girl at the beginning seemed like she was trying to catch her in something to begin with. Like I got a real weird vibe on. I thought
Not
she was
catch
trying
her
to
in
get
the
her.
bed.
You know,
I
I
felt
was
like she was
getting
trying
only
to
on the
catch her in an
vibe
entanglement.
personally
I don't know.
because of books.
You're not going to do better than Instinct.
I
Oh,
don't
that's
think I've seen Baby.
Different tone, but
Sharon
yeah.
Stone. That was Sharon Stone.
That's
and
Oh yes.
Yeah.
where she
I-
falls with her legs and it's a big deal.
Yes.
not a good representation of bisexuality, but okay.
Yeah. Well, it was
Wait,
It
wait.
was a-
Define
it was-
good. Define good representation. Because she's villainous.
no, because she was created through the male gaze in the 1980s.
Yeah.
That's why.
We love a villain bisexual. We love a villain bisexual. It's
What's-
the male gaze. That's the thing. Yes.
The
yeah.
Verhoeven of it all.
Now we don't need the fetishization of it, you know? Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
I
well,
don't mind
you're
a little
discussing male
fetishization, but
gaze.
just tell me that's what you're doing. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. You know.
Yeah. I want like I'm okay with a little bit of like consensual.
You can fetishize anything you want all day. Fine. Just
No,
tell me that's
well,
what
it's
you're
not,
doing.
it's not fetishizing. It's more of the objectification. Like I'm okay with a little bit of consensual objectification here.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like if it was directed by a woman, we might have might have been a little bit sexier.
We were shown. Oh wait, Ben,
I
you
don't
weren't there, but my film studies class was shown that scene by I think it was Susie Young, Professor Susie Young.
Oh, I never had Susie. She
No,
showed
yeah.
you the Basic Instinct like
that scene specifically.
interrogation scene.
Yes, and she said,
Welcome to
it
film
was
school.
actually it was when we were being introduced to the concept of the male gaze, and it was about here it is. But then she was also making the claim that Sharon Stone's character was reclaiming it and asserting power by like doing that.
Well,
kind of
it's
the argument.
saying that she's using it to like she's using it to her power, which
Yeah.
a lot of like a lot of characters do that. Though I would say, maybe that was at the beginning of that trend.
Yeah,
I would say that George Michael is my favorite male gay.
George Michael just
Out of
made
all
his
of them?
Broadway debut. on Rose.
Out of all of them, that's your favorite one?
Have you seen?
Hey, you got to watch that Wham documentary on Netflix. It's 10 out of 10.
There's a Wham documentary. Is it? Oh, okay. Now we know.
Matt, going back to your original question, which
What
remind
was
me what that was. You asked
don't
something
remember.
about like kind of like what is sort of like ultimately mean.
yeah, what's
kind
the
of what
point of
you're
this
getting at?
Mm.
I mean, to me, I kind of said it before, but I really think it's less about her guilt or innocence and more about how we piece these stories together and seeing it done very publicly through this kind of courtroom process. And there are definitely sort of interesting shades of like, what happens when they're out of the courtroom and when they're at home. Although some of that also kind of felt like a device to me too, when he was like, leave, and now I need to figure this out, and now I figured it out. I don't know, like some of the courtroom sequences to me honestly felt a little draggy. And I would kind of be like, all right, like the courtroom
Draggy
itself.
like they were slow, or draggy like sequins and wigs?
See, that would be interesting.
They were
That
in
would-
very
they-
colorful
they-
robes, more so than
that once I kind of, I think, figured out sort of the mechanics of the film and what it was doing, it started to wear on me a little bit. And then what I was left with was really this kind of idea of a relationship, and there's this kind of toxicity, but there's these sort of individual components contributing to this couple. And then I'm thinking about like, is this movie doing anything that Gone Girl maybe didn't do in like a different sort of tonal way, but had this kind of like almost like pulpiness to it that kept it very like there was a momentum to it. And I don't know, I couldn't find the momentum of this movie that maybe other people could.
That's where I'm getting at with the lack of juice. Like,
yeah,
you showed me some things, and then you gave me some things. You left me the little breadcrumbs, but then eventually you stopped asking new questions and stopped showing me new evidence, like real evidence, like until Daniel's testimony, until that very, very, very last. And the way I said it to Matt earlier, I was like, I don't need an M. Night Shyamalan complete rundown, but a few more breadcrumbs at the end, just to, like you said, for momentum, just to keep me like, oh yeah.
There was opportunity.
The courtroom, it kind of stalled a little bit.
To me, it did a little. Like I feel the same way, that I just like, because you'd see one blood spatter analyst and it was kind of interesting, and then you'd see another one that contradicted it, and there was kind of a lot of back and forth, and that's how a lot of these sort of courtroom things maybe play out in reality. But when you pair that with maybe some of the more sort of absurd things that we were seeing that were like allowed to kind of like let slide in terms of questioning, paired with this just kind of like sort of repetition and feeling like we talked about the juice before I think you arrived. At least we were talking about the movie having juice, and it does feel almost like not juiceless, but that it almost wants to be like, it's a movie that almost seems like there's like opportunity for it to kind of grab in ways that it doesn't take, if that makes sense. And it does that on purpose, but in some ways to me makes for a more sort of not a flatter experience, but kind of that. I'm not articulating it super well, but I think that we feel similarly.
I think like maybe this would be like the Hollywood effect. Like I feel like maybe if it was made in America, it would be very heightened with the drama of it all. And that's why I kind of like it, because it has that European quality of it, like not being so not flashy. Like flashy,
it's not sensationalist. It doesn't
it's not
sensationalize any of it.
Thing, which is why I don't know. I really liked the fact that it wasn't like that, and there was more of like a little bit of a plateau in the courtroom scene, because you get the drama and you get the drive,
just like the German toilet.
Just like the German toilet, it plateaus.
Just plateaus for a little bit so you can look at it, and then
look.
You're done.
It all
Send
comes
it
back
on its
around
way.
to the German toilet. Yes.
I was gonna say, much like German and French food, lots of flavor, but not a lot of spice.
Well,
Like,
hearing all this, like, it's
Lots
making me
and lots
think-
of flavor, but
I feel like Daniel should have felt more important than he did, because where it sort of plateaus is I think there's that point when the judge says you're not coming back either tomorrow or next week because it's going to be too hard for you to hear. And he's like, no, I want to, because I'll find out from the radio anyway. And then he does. And then he has the moment where he says, no, I wasn't ready for that. And I feel like that kind of gets lost when I think back on the movie to the more flashier, interesting stuff that happens, like with the tape, for example, and that relationship dynamic. So I almost feel like Daniel's story and him as a character should be more important, or feel more important when reflecting back on this movie, because like when you look at the point when those courtroom scenes feel like they start to feel repetitive, I think what we're supposed to gather from that is the experience Daniel is having getting all this new information, but it doesn't hit emotionally the way I think it's meant to, or at least for me it
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
Or even
No,
really
totally.
too in like a formal sense, like I keep not to compare it too much to something like Zone of Interest. Like Zone of Interest is a very non-flashy movie, but it has a very specific formal kind of conceit to it that makes it really interesting to me. And this is it's like the coverage in this movie is good and the performances are good. It's deliberately not like flashy filmmaking, but I do feel like it's there was like, I think that the movie is like lacking a little bit of like energy or something. I don't know, and there is something real about that maybe, but it sort of substitutes that for questions about questions almost. It's like, let's ask questions about the question of what it means for this kind of argument to transpire, and for us to not see it but to hear it, just as one example. But it was I kept thinking too, the other comparison that I want to make, if it's okay, is did you guys, a couple years ago when we did The Power of the Dog that year, one of the movies nominated was a movie called Drive My Car. Did you guys talk about Drive My Car on the show?
no.
So Drive My Car is kind of, in some ways, what's happened in the last few years, I feel like, with Oscars and Oscar nominations, is that there tends to be a little bit more sort of openness to these international films, right?
Mhm.
Being nominated for Best Picture outside of the Best International Film category. So when a movie like Parasite really hits and it's like doing great at festivals and the box office, it's like, yeah, this was the movie of the year, and so Drive My Car was, I think, 2021 and then nominated in the 2022 Oscars, and that's a Japanese film, similarly long. I think it's about 3 hours. And that's a movie that is also in some ways about ambiguity and ends on an incredible note of ambiguity that I won't spoil. But what I love about how that film ends is that either way that you interpret what you see in that final scene of that film, it almost enriches the opposite idea. Like, both are so satisfying, and it almost becomes like doubly emotional, because you're like, oh my God, this could mean these different things.
Mhm.
And I think the ambiguity in this film is like, it's sort of fun to chew on for a little while, but it didn't really sort of culminate in a way that I felt like, wow, this really like showed me something or like moved me in any real way. There was some analytical stuff that was interesting in the moment. But I do think about the idea of ambiguity as a filmmaker and how you implement it and how you can wield it in sort of subtle ways, but also very blunt ways. And I think I felt like the ambiguity of an Anatomy of a Fall is very heavy-handed in some ways. It becomes almost so strainingly obvious in that that's the sort of sandbox that it's playing in, that it was doing so much of that work for me almost, that I felt like I couldn't meet it maybe in the place that I wanted to.
So then do you think do you feel like the ambiguity came first or the relationship drama came first? Like,
I think it's all one thing. I think the ambiguity of the relationship is the movie. Like, it's almost hard for me to separate it. But unless you mean the ambiguity of like the murder, is that like what came first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I mean, it's hard to say, but I think that, you know, the way that you might hook someone is that someone died, right, in this relationship.
Mhm.
And he could have been murdered, but it could have been a total accident. Um, or it could have been, you know, his own doing, right? It could be all these things. And we don't know. And now let's dig deeper into who these people are and what might be motivating them and what might be troubling them. And, you know, I would imagine that maybe it kind of went in that direction, but it's hard to tell for sure.
It is. It is. I think you should sing about it, Ben.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have a guitar with me.
Oh my
I don't
God.
actually play
What is
guitar
happening?
very well, but I told Matt, I was like, Matt, I'm working. It's probably out of tune too. I'm working on like a little song about this movie, and I've written one verse. And so it's like, let's see. So it goes, well, my husband hit his head on the corner of the shed. And now I have to answer for it all. And the French court is insane, 'cause they want me to explain what is the anatomy of a fall. Right? I'm working on it.
Do the second
Yeah.
verse in French.
Yeah. Oh, I can't
Yeah.
speak any French. I can say Je m'appelle Ben. I was way off tune there because it's new. I just started writing it like an
I like
hour
it.
before we went on.
That was so good.
Fantastic.
My husband hit his head on, and then you could do like, you know, my son, he is blind, but I don't
One
really
of a
mind.
kind.
He's gonna leave me behind.
He's gonna leave me behind. We can work on it,
Yeah.
but I'm working on, you know. So I feel like there's something here,
Good.
and
good.
like it.
you know, maybe we can send it to Kimmel or somebody, and he can
do
sing
it.
it.
Well, you know,
right.
Coda is being apparently was going to be turned into a Broadway musical. So maybe this is the next Oscar-winning or Oscar-nominated movie that you wouldn't think would be a musical, but will go to Broadway.
That would be a really interesting musical, Coda. I wonder
yeah.
how that would be done. I'd be super. I genuinely would be curious to see what that would look like.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
heard much about it since the announcement. Maybe they've quietly shelved it, but it was going to be a thing. It was going to be a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's
Matt, like, thank you for letting me sing my work in progress.
Well,
by the
thank you
way.
for singing the work in progress, Ben. I'm excited to
Yeah.
hear the song when it's full, or to hear
Yeah.
if you write more songs about the other Oscar-nominated movies. It could be a montage, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. We could,
Oh
I
my
could work
God,
on
are
some
you
other
are
ones.
you gonna do our music montage at the beginning of our Oscar episode, just like the Oscars?
Oh, it's so much pressure now.
You should do it.
Oh, thanks, Martha. I appreciate that. I could try to do a couple, but I only know a few chords. I'm not really a guitar player, but I could, you know, I could work on it.
Good.
Just try.
Yeah. We could do we could do a whole video just of your
That would be-
song.
I
Alex
like
and I will
this.
sing backup vocals. It'll be great.
Oh, I like this idea too. There's something to sing about all of them, probably, you know?
Something to sing about this land of ours. It could be a song. Or maybe an American song too. Who knows? So, does she deserve Best Director? Let's talk about the directing in this movie, because we were discussing the male gaze, and I'm curious to hear what everyone's thoughts are as to if you could sense any difference with this story being told from a female perspective or not. Or like, to me, it just felt like, well, I was going to say normal movie, but like, what is a normal movie? But yeah. Was the male gaze here? Was it not here? Was the female gaze there? What even is that? Or is it just how's the direction?
I think the male gaze was played by the weenie attorney, the guy,
Yeah.
the mean guy,
The weenie attorney, yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, he painted the bad light of the male gaze.
Yeah, I feel like he was. I feel like you can tell maybe a little bit that it was. So it was written. Was it written by her too, or just directed?
I think it was co-written by her.
Okay.
The wiki page open.
Because I was feeling more of that has to do with the writing than the directing necessarily.
It was written by
And-
her and someone named Arthur Harare.
So I would say if she had any, like, if there's evidence of a woman being involved in the making of this story from the roots of it, I would say it is the fact that a lot of that chauvinistic manner is wrapped up into one character. And so, like, we can just kind of hate on that guy. I think that then leaves you with being able to be much more open to liking the other male characters. in this case, I do think that you are supposed to question whether you're considering her sexuality and her gender in how you feel about her, but that's because we're supposed to be considering if we think she's innocent or guilty and thinking the same thing as the jury. I think like we're supposed to be taking in evidence. So I think that the directing, as far as that goes, I think that was good. I don't know that anything stood out to me where I was like, oh, the directing in this scene's amazing. It was the acting and it was the writing.
Mhm.
Just a little
I don't
note.
know.
She wrote it with her husband, which
there
is
you
pretty interesting. when
No,
you think about it.
oh
Yeah.
no! I
Co-written
hope
with her husband.
it is okay.
So if he shows up dead, she's going to be in a lot of trouble.
They're gonna
Yeah.
put
As we know, fiction can be as real as reality, according to the court.
it can be
Yeah,
used as
right.
evidence.
And the first
Yeah.
scene, she even says there's a slight variation or difference between real life and fiction. Like it's all one, or
Mhm.
something. I'm paraphrasing a lot, but that
Yeah.
comes up in her discussion with the poor student.
If I were Arthur Harari, I'd be trembling in my boots right now
No.
about what my wife Justine is cooking up when I'm up in the balcony blasting my stereo, you know?
But yeah, I agree with you, Jeanette, that I think the strength is from the performance and the writing. And the performance, like it's hard to say how much of that is coupled with how she was directed, and it could just all be one part of the process. But kind of like I was saying about her performance overall, if I didn't have the context of knowing that it was nominated for the award, I don't know that the direction would stand out to me as being particularly
Yeah,
interesting or great.
exactly.
Yeah, I think like the strength is the script and then the performances. But I
Yeah.
mean, like in terms of I don't know. I did appreciate the direction.
Mhm.
Like you can tell when like I can tell when like it's a good script and like it's not the direction I would have gone with, from like a director's eye. Because we're all directors here. We all have like opinions when we're watching a movie. But yeah, I think the awards merited. I mean, the nominations merited, but I don't think it's gonna win.
No.
The night before the announcements, I burst out of my room and Anna was on the couch. And I said, Anna, this is my prediction. Bradley Cooper out. Best director. Justine Triet in. I just felt it in my bones.
Yeah.
I felt like the Academy wanted to honor
It's
her
called
with
a
a nomination.
prophecy, Ben.
It was
You're
my only. I'm really
Always
bad
do
at
it
these
that way.
generally. I'm terrible with prophecies.
Is that what
I
happened?
remember, and that's what
Yeah.
happened. Bradley Cooper was gunning for that Best Director
Oh
nomination. I
my
really feel
God.
like they got a Best Picture nomination for Maestro. They got
He was
some other
Barbied.
stuff.
He was Barbied.
He was a little bit Barbied. I honestly think though that it was. I think that it was in some ways merited. I think that she, even if this movie didn't really hit me super hard, I feel like she had a very clear vision with the film. It's a little bit tricky, like we talked about with when it comes to directors, like, because a director's job in some ways is super nebulous. Like it's the performances that you get with your actor. It's how you cut the film. It's about maintaining a consistent tone. There's so many different, ingredients in the stew. And I do feel like she has a really good handle on that. Even if maybe the film as a whole didn't really resonate with me like super hard, but I'm glad to see her getting recognition for it. I don't think she's going to win it this year though. And we'll probably talk about that with the prediction stuff. I feel like there's a certain movie that's it's got all the momentum going right now. But yeah.
I am curious to see like other films that she's directed and like the genre too. Like this was such a mystery. So I'm curious about like whether I would even like or resonate with like just a straight drama or a comedy or anything from.
She's directed more than I would have expected. Like in a
Is
long
Sybil the most recent one, Matt?
Yeah,
Sybil. I've heard pretty good things about that movie, but haven't seen it. I think this is my first Justine Triet, which I wanted to pronounce as Justine Treat, which I have to be careful about saying in front of my cat because she recognizes the word treat. And if I go Justine Treat, her ears would perk up,
So wait, what did Todd Haynes do?
Oh, he did May December. I don't know if you guys saw May December. Really interesting movie. Weirdly, they showed it in Toronto on 35 millimeter film, but it was not shot that way. It was shot on digital. But Netflix was like, we're going to put it on a film reel. So they did. That movie's very interesting and it did have some, it might have gotten the best screenplay nomination, actually.
I think
Anna
so.
maybe can
right.
weigh in on that. But there was a lot of momentum for that movie for a while with the best supporting actor for Charles Melton from Riverdale. And Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman are in it. It's kind of, in some ways, a very confrontational movie about the film industry. And I think that's why some people feel like it was a little bit disregarded because it was maybe hitting a little too close to home for the voters, which is fun to think about if you do check it out.
I really dislike that movie so much.
Oh yeah.
But we should have another conversation about the movie because it's juicy. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we like juicy movies. So.
We like them juicy here on Teacup for One.
We love a lot of
We
tea.
do.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to the game. So here we go. I'm very excited for this game, may I just say. It's one of those games that is so movie specific. We can never play this game again. So there it is. Even though it's kind of the same format as the last few games have been.
By the way, Matt, sorry to interrupt you. My mom watched this the Killers of the Flower Moon episode the day after.
Oh,
and I get a text from her and she's like, that Wolf of Wall Street question and answer from that game reminded me why I hate that movie. Because I had to talk about panties in the Wolf of Wall Street. So we had a fun conversation about that.
Good. As long as we're discussing movies, that's what we're here for. Provoke the
That's what we're
discussion.
here for.
Yeah, mommy's just getting so sick and tired of wearing panties. So we're not going to be filling in any blanks today with the game, but kind of similar. I'm going to give you a clue, and then you have an opportunity for 2 points per clue if you identify two things correctly. Now, this is all based on courtroom drama movies. So I am going to tell you the case that is being tried in a certain movie. You have to identify the movie and also tell me if the person on trial is found guilty or innocent in the film.
Okay.
That's fun.
Okay, so name the movie and whether they're guilty or innocent.
Yes, and not whether they are like actually morally guilty or innocent, but if within the narrative
I'm
the
so
jury and or judge says guilty or innocent, because
Got it.
there are a few cases where the point is that they're tried wrong. But here we go. And also, this was very hard to pull clues from because there are a lot of courtroom drama movies, but I tried to make them all things that people at least have maybe heard of or seen. So there we go. Because when you pull up the AFI's list of best courtroom movies, they all sound great, but they're not exactly movies that like you have on the tip of your tongue.
Oh.
Here we go. But no, I picked ones that should at least sound familiar. So here we go. We're gonna start off with an easy one.
Okay.
Brooke Wyndham has been accused of murdering her husband. Oh, I thought it was easy.
Oh, what?
Brooke Wyndham.
Yes.
It is going like this.
Wendy,
I don't know.
Oh, good.
hardly know him.
Hold on a second. Oh God. Are you serious? Anna just went, we just watched it and shut the door.
Oh, you know what?
I don't
even
know.
think it's a
I don't know
courtroom
the name, but I know
drama,
the movie.
the one I'm thinking of now is like, it's not a courtroom drama, not for this, but in general about my favorite, like, but I think it's just a
Brooke
crime
Wyndham.
movie, is Double Jeopardy.
Oh yeah, with Ashley Judd.
But I don't know if I don't think they're in the courtroom for that, technically.
We watched it this year? She's going like this, and I can't. Oh my God.
Come on, it's Brooke Wyndham. I thought this was the easy one.
Brooke.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's start with Ben because he's watched it recently.
Clearly not recently enough.
Okay.
Not guilty. That's all I have.
Okay.
I don't know what movie it is. I don't know.
Okay, let's
Oh,
see.
God.
Ben.
Huh? Okay, I've got it's me.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, and is she found guilty or innocent?
I want to say very guilty.
Okay. Jeanette?
Legally Blonde, and
Oh,
I
God
couldn't remember,
damn
so I
it.
just guessed Innocent. I can't remember.
Of
what the
course.
first thing was.
Oh.
Also,
It's been a long time.
Yes.
Yes, of
We
course.
just
it was
watched it.
Legally Blonde. And
We
she's
did
not-
watch.
Have I
We
seen
did
that?
just watch Legally Blonde.
How long ago, Ben? Like literally this
Like
year? The
maybe
last
like
5
2 or
weeks?
3 weeks ago, but I forgot that her name was Brooke.
How could you forget? She's
It's Selma Blair. I know it now.
No, it's not Selma Blair.
It's not Selma Blair.
Or not Selma. No, wait.
Selma
It's Allie Larder.
Allie Larder. That's right. That's who I mixed them up.
I love hearing Anna. And
Thank you for correcting me.
oh my God.
well, we're off to a good start. Next,
God,
an 18-year-old boy is accused of stabbing his father to death. There are 2 witnesses.
Shit.
I thought this one was easy.
stop, Anna. Stop.
Yeah, these are gonna be
You're
so
stressing
hard.
me out.
It's hard when I know things.
Oh,
I think Anna should play too.
I'm just really stressed. I'm like, you should know this, Ben, and I'm like, I can't
Oh my
remember.
God! And there's like,
Can I join?
Yeah,
Anna
yeah.
wants to know if she can join.
Anna, come
This
on.
isn't going to be fair. All right, come on in.
Hold on. I'm giving
Okay.
you your own score.
Come on camera though. You can't be off camera.
Hi.
There you go.
Hey, Anna. So you have 2 points. 'Cause I know you knew Legally Blonde.
Give Anna. Don't count Anna's point for me because that wouldn't be fair.
No,
Yeah,
your
Anna.
own
This is
point.
Anna's point.
Jesus, I don't even
Okay.
freaking know.
Thank you.
Wait, I have to get my headphones.
Yeah, get your headphones on so you can listen to the episode that you just appeared on.
Oh my God!
She stands in the doorway and she goes like this, like
I feel like Anna's gonna win it. I have
I know. There's a lot of enthusiasm.
that. Yeah. Anna, once you're ready, you get to answer first.
okay. Anna, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Anna's answer
Okay.
is 12 Angry Men Not Guilty.
Okay. Ben, what was your answer?
My answer was guilty and The Client.
Okay. Lisa?
12 Angry Men, not guilty.
Hey, Vince?
I guessed the boy who maybe stabbed his dad to death.
Oh, that's a
And
good one.
And I'm going to say, based on the title, guilty.
Guilty? Okay. Jeanette?
I wrote Friday the 13th, and he's dead guilty.
Well, it was 12 Angry Men, and he is found not guilty because there is reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt.
And
Next,
Henry Fonda sees.
John Proctor is accused of witchcraft.
Oh,
Oh.
Finally.
Wait,
One I
am I
like.
sure about this? Hold on.
Justice for John.
Okay,
Really?
I have-
No justice for John.
I have a guess. You're not allowed to look at my guess, Anna.
I know what it's from. I just don't remember what the outcome is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't either, and I've never.
I don't really
seen it
remember
or
that.
read it.
I'm kind of like, it wasn't that.
Let's start with Vince.
I'm going to go with Arthur Miller's The Crucible.
I saw this on
And
Broadway. I
he,
should know
he
better.
was found guilty, I believe.
All right.
Oh, I showed mine already. Sorry.
Jeanette, wait. Jeanette said guilty crucible. Ben said guilty crucible. Lisa?
Crucible guilty.
Crucible guilty.
Oh, wait, and what was Anna's?
What was yours, Anna?
I said Crucible guilty.
Okay.
Hey, yes,
Sure
of
you
But I
did.
course.
wasn't sure about
Crucible,
guilty.
and he was guilty.
Yay!
Yay! What a good play / movie
That is a good one.
it is. Especially and the Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode that condenses it to a half hour. So good.
Oh, yeah.
Next, Bill and Stan are charged with first-degree murder. Also, Bill drives a 1967 Buick Skylark.
Hey! I don't want to see what Anna's answer is. This isn't
Okay.
fair. Oh my god.
Okay, you can do it on that side then.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh God.
Darling, you know this one.
Let's start with Lisa.
I want to say this in the
I don't-
voice.
I don't know what the verdict. Okay. I'm gonna say it's My Cousin Vinny, not guilty.
Okay.
Yeah, it's here.
I just realized I don't actually have my notes about what the answers are. I've just trusted that I remembered, but so far I've been right. Okay, Ben.
Anna said, "Not guilty." My cousin Vinny,
Okay.
Buick Skylark.
which I've never seen. Never seen My Cousin Vinny, so I put In Cold Blood guilty, which I know is wrong.
I appreciate the Buick Skylark from Anna. That was amazing. Vince, did you answer for this one? No, not yet.
I answered this. My cousin Vinny, not guilty. I'd also like to add that Bill and Stan were also charged with being Italian American in the Deep South. That was the
True.
real charge.
That was some blatant Italian racism right there.
Like Sacco and Vanzetti.
yeah.
Bill and Stan's incredible journey, excellent adventure.
Buick Skylark. Jeanette.
My cousin Vinny, not guilty.
That is correct. Next, Marines Harold Dawson and Loudon Downey are accused of murdering Private William Santiago.
I think I know what this.
Okay, you have to write it up
Okay.
here
Yeah.
somewhere.
I mean,
Anna,
You're not allowed to look at my answer, Anna.
We'll start with Jeanette this time.
I feel like this isn't the right movie. I feel like I'm thinking of the wrong movie.
I'm gonna
Hold
defer
on.
to-
wait, is it not?
I
Okay,
don't remember.
I think this is the wrong movie. This is the
Okay.
wrong movie. I'm confusing this with another movie, but there it is.
Who Vince?
I guess A Few Good Men and guilty.
Yeah, it's A Few Good Men. I confused Full Metal Jacket with A Few Good Men for sure just now.
Ben?
Anna put A Few Good Men guilty. I put A Few Good Men not guilty. I cannot
you're
remember.
right.
I'm right.
Ben not guilty.
Ah,
They are
ah.
found. No, they're found not guilty of murder, but they're dishonorably discharged for like bad conduct. And I think Jack Nicholson's character might be the one who's held responsible because he ordered the code red or whatever.
Yeah,
You couldn't handle the truth.
He couldn't
the
handle.
house always wins.
Next, what even? Oh, I know which one this is. Tom Robinson is accused of assaulting Mayella Ewell.
Mayella Elwell.
Yeah.
Do you know this?
I have a guess. Can I?
Yeah, you guess.
I just realized there's a typo in the next clue. I have to try to fix that. Hope nothing's affected on screen.
Oh,
You're doing great, Matt. I'm
Thank
loving
you.
this. You do such a good job running
Isn't it
the
a fun
show.
game? Isn't it a fun game?
It's a lot of fun.
Let's start with Anna's answer.
Anna said the accused guilty.
Okay, hold on. Okay, and your answer, Ben?
I haven't come up with one yet. Give me a minute.
Lisa.
It's To Kill a Mockingbird and guilty.
Okay, Vince.
Hang on, shouldn't we give Ben a minute? Like,
You know what?
Because we're all gonna say this.
I'm going to say something else then. I'm going to say The Firm, not guilty.
Vince, what
Okay,
I've
yeah,
never
I-
seen To Kill a Mockingbird.
I'm
I
guessing
haven't
not
either. I don't
guilty.
even know about this part. I just knew it was this because it's assaulting.
It is To Kill a Mockingbird, but he's found guilty.
Ah.
Unjust.
Ah. I thought he was found not guilty, but they lynched him anyway.
No, they lynch him even though I think they know he's not guilty, but they say guilty
They
anyway.
couldn't
Or
live
the
with
lynch him.
themselves.
Probably, yeah. I've only seen it
That's
once.
a
I don't
shame.
remember much. Next, a secretary accuses PG of contaminating.
It's like one of my favorite
This is a-
movies in the whole world.
This is a good one.
So excited.
This
I
is a
love
good
this
one.
movie so much.
This is a good one. Bruh. It feels good to know something in the game because I've been so out to
This is
sea
the
with so
first
many
one
of
that
these.
I've been scotch sure of.
You've done decently, Ben. You've done decently.
Where did you write yours, Anna?
Come on the side.
Oh, I see it.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
watched this
okay.
movie this year yet, and I usually watch it at least
Every
once
year?
a year. I
I love that
at
you
least
make it.
it used to
annual
live
thing.
in my DVD player. Like
It's a good
It's
movie.
like
It's a
lived
good
in it.
DVD to have. I feel.
Yeah.
it is. It's,
Let's start with Vince.
I feel like I'm the only one who didn't get this, so I kind of just guessed.
Come
I said,
on.
"Have we seen this together, darling?"
No, but you should know.
No,
Oh no!
you should just no.
Hang on, wait. Maybe I guessed right. Hang on. I guessed Flint, Michigan, the musical.
Oh my god.
Not guilty
Out of
because
here.
the house always wins.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Lisa.
Aaron Brockovich, guilty.
Jeanette.
Ah.
Nice,
Oh.
Ben.
Anna wrote Aaron Brockovich guilty.
Yeah.
And I wrote Aaron Brockovich guilty.
Aaron Brockovich guilty is correct. Good job, everybody.
They should have called it that.
Shame.
Aaron Brockovich guilty.
Joan is accused of witchcraft.
Not Joan.
Not Joan.
Oh,
Joan.
Is this a repeat? Can there be repeats?
I don't know.
Joan.
No one's gonna get this.
Oh.
Well, no,
I have a
maybe-
guess. I have a
maybe you
guess.
I decided to be really picky with like the title needs to be exact to get the point.
Okay.
The title
Oh.
is exact.
The title of the movie has to be exact.
I'm so
What?
confused now.
Okay. Anna, you write yours there. I wrote it down. I
Like in
could be-
French.
So confused now.
Oh, now I know I'm wrong because you said that.
Yeah.
Because now I
that's-
know which one you're talking about.
What the hell?
Because I don't think there's a movie. No, there is. I don't know if there's an adaptation of this other thing I'm thinking of that's kind of the same thing. Who knows? Oh, or though there might be. Wait, hold on.
This is so funny. This is really funny.
Oh, okay. Wait, never mind. No. Okay. There are two movie titles I will accept.
Yes.
What is it?
Oh crap!
We'll find out. Let's start with Lisa.
I don't know now.
See, now I'm throwing my answer. I'm throwing that away. Hold on.
Okay,
You'll
hold on.
see.
Hold on. Okay, hold
Mine
on.
is so stupid,
Okay,
but I think it should count.
Okay, hold on. Okay, it has to be the story of the Joan of
No.
Joan of Arc.
But I think we're both right.
Accused of being guilty.
Okay.
Directed by Mel Gibson.
Shut up.
Okay. Vince.
Like I was gonna guess Joan of Arc, but then you threw me for a loop there, so I guessed Joan of Arc in French. Jeanne d'Arc.
Oh,
Guilty.
that's a good guess. Jeanette.
I guess Joan of Arc, not guilty.
Okay. I was about to say Ben and Anna, and I almost said banana.
Banana, that's us.
Is that a-
Anna put The Passion of Joan of Arc guilty,
Yes.
right? Carl Theodore Dreyer, which is the French. There's a French title that it goes by. That I think you're thinking of that film. I
Oh,
did
that's a real thing.
Luc Bresson's The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc, starring Mila Jovovich.
Is that a real
Where
movie?
she's guilty. Yes,
It is.
It's a
I was
19.
torn between that one or Joan of Arc starring Lily Sobieski, and I went with Joan of Arc starring Lily Sobieski.
Wait, what?
Well,
This
I mean,
is-
so that
Joan of
yes.
Really?
So
Wow,
this is a
really?
film that shows Joan of Arc, in her story, but it's just not as well known because it's not nearly as good as the 19.
And because Mila
20?
Jovovich isn't half naked in it, and that's the only time anybody wants to give her credit for anything.
But she's so good, Mila. We love Mila.
She is.
Jovovich.
I'm just saying, like the
That's
poor
real
woman
life,
has to
yeah.
be half naked to get attention.
So now, Matt, you have to decide.
You're right. No,
Is-
all of these are valid movies. I was going for The Passion of Joan of Arc,
Mm,
but
mhm.
since all of these Joan of Arc movies seemingly are real things, they all have to get points. Mine
the
is
passion
Oh.
of Joan of Arc sounds like something that South Park makes up to like have.
no,
on their
that's like one of the
episodes.
first
It's
ever
like
movies.
mishmash.
Oh, Vigo Mortensen from Lord of the Rings came to Toronto and he showed that movie. He could pick any movie out of the like library at TIFF, and he was like,
Really?
"That's the one I want to show." And
Wow.
he showed that. Yeah, so
still-
Aragorn loves it.
Yeah. I also would have accepted Saint Joan, the adaptation of George Bernard Shaw's Way Too Long play.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay, wait, but
Playing
like
University.
I was right.
Oh yeah, you were right. You got the
I think
answer
we
that
all
was in my
were.
heart, as did Anna. So the
Okay.
two of you, yeah. I mean, everyone got a point if they got a movie title right.
about
that is a
Joan of
movie.
Arc.
Yeah, and Joan of Arc is evidently also an Ingrid Bergman movie.
It is.
Yeah. So there we go. Next, Margaret Keane sues her ex-husband for slander.
Oh. Wait. Was that a courtroom? Are they in the courtroom?
There's a courtroom in this movie. I'm not saying the whole movie happens in a courtroom.
Okay, yeah. I think I know which one we give it away. Have we done this movie on this channel?
I don't know.
You're not gonna say.
I don't know.
I
This is
can't
when I started
remember if
to
they're
grasp
guilty or not guilty.
Clues.
Huh?
This is the movie where I started to grasp at straws to get 10 clues because, like, I didn't think anyone would get witness for the prosecution.
I think I know, but I can't remember if they're guilty or not guilty. I'm gonna say guilty.
Do you have a guess, Anna?
No.
Do you want to just write guilty or non-guilty? All right. That's what I did. For slander.
Mhm.
When is an ex-husband slandering his ex-wife in a movie?
When is an ex-husband not slandering?
I know. I feel like
Good
that's a
question.
common occurrence.
I feel like that's like a number one activity in like a
But
stereotypical ex-husband role.
Margaret Keane.
Margaret Keane.
Margaret Keane.
Margaret
Okay.
Keane.
Margaret Keane.
Margaret
Just keep
Keane.
saying it, it'll bring it out.
Margaret King.
I like Yoda for Mark's guess.
Oh, what did you say?
I like it. Is that the answer?
Maybe we'll find out. Let's start with Ben's guess. Ben and Anna.
I don't know the movie, but I'm just gonna put guilty. That Margaret Keane's ex-husband is guilty. And Anna, if you want to hear Anna's, is you put not guilty?
Yeah.
She just put not guilty.
Wow.
We're on opposite sides here.
Vince.
Margaret Keane.
But
The
the
Nutty
Nutty Professor too, not guilty.
The
Okay.
clumps.
Oh my gosh, the clumps. The epic courtroom scene from the clumps. Yeah. Jeanette?
I put Big Eyes guilty.
Okay.
Ah,
Lisa?
Big Eyes. Guilty.
That's correct. It is Big Eyes. And he
Big
is.
Eyes? Oh my goodness.
Oh, the kitty's here.
Abby's here.
Oh.
Hi,
Abby's-
Kitty.
Abby is guilty of licking egg scraps off the pan.
She is guilty, but she's the cutest felon. Yes. Okay, final clue of the regular round. Roger is accused of murdering Marvin Acme.
Aww.
oh,
Do you know Anna?
Should I know this, Vince?
yeah, I think
Everybody
we've
here
watched
should
it.
know this.
I
We did
think we've
not.
watched it.
Although I forget you are somewhat younger
We've
than us,
talked
but I
about
feel like you should
watching it.
still have seen this.
Everyone should see this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody should see this if you haven't.
Oh, that makes.
Oh, I love that your kitty does the shoulder lay.
Yeah.
So little.
Mine just lays on my head at night like a hat, and then like she'll ride on my shoulder. If I walk around the house, she will just like ride, but not like that. I love when they lay like a stool.
Mine just gives me dirty looks.
She's she's a little monster.
She's so
but
pretty.
But look at her face right now.
she is a bit of a shoulder kitty.
She's like a parrot. She was probably a parrot in a past life.
Yeah.
Were you a past life parrot, Abby?
Oh,
I like when they lay like that. Mine lays over and she'll
Who's the
like
good
drape
kitty?
herself over one shoulder and we'll walk around. I'll go shoulder cat, shoulder cat.
Oh, that's
Goes
good. That's
wherever
good
my
stuff.
shoulders at. You know, it's fun.
I love it. All right, well, Ben, let's start with you.
I put Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I put guilty. And
Okay.
Anna put Who Framed Roger Rabbit and put not guilty.
Okay, Lisa.
I think he has to be
Roger
guilty to be
Rabbit,
framed.
not guilty.
All right, Vince.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Not guilty.
And yes, of course, it is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, not guilty. Let me tally up the scores.
I mean, he didn't do it.
He didn't. And everyone knows that at the end.
Isn't it crazy that all the Disney characters and the Warner Brothers characters are like together in that movie.
Yep.
What a world we lived in.
What a world.
Never happen again.
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, until Bugs Bunny becomes
Oh,
game.
you're right.
Oh yeah.
public whatever.
All right, so our scores are thus: Vince has 10, Ben has 11, Jeanette has 14, Anna has 16, and Lisa has 19.
Lisa.
Woo-hoo.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Dramas.
Movies.
Anna, thanks for playing.
Thank you, Anna. Oh, but now it's time for the bonus round.
Oh.
Here we go.
Oh.
This is where we wager.
Okay.
This is where we wager. What's everyone wanting to wager? We'll start with Jeanette.
All in. I'm
Oh.
all in.
All in.
Okay, Vince,
I'm gonna go 9.
9. Okay, Ben,
All in.
all in. Anna,
Anna?
All in.
All in.
so I ran out of courtroom drama movies. Well, not really. I have one, except it's not really a guilty or not guilty. So I am going to tell you the verdict or the outcome of a court hearing that's very important to a certain movie. You have to tell me if it is true or false, and also identify the movie.
Wait.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Say that all again.
So I'm going to make a statement about a movie without telling you the title. You have
Okay.
to tell me if the statement is true or false, and also identify the movie.
Can you
Okay.
hear this?
I'm like, I think 10 seconds behind.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm still
here's the
hearing
statement.
rules.
Here's the statement. At the end of this movie, Ted wins custody of Billy. You have to tell me if that is true or false, and also what movie is it? In what movie is Ted fighting for custody of Billy? And my statement is that Ted gets custody of Billy. Is that
I
true?
know
Or
this. I know this.
I
and
think
None
I've
of
got this one too.
You know you don't.
No, I think I do. I'm surprised
It's
you
like a
have
movie
this.
that a lot of people have seen. I feel like this
You're
is a movie that a lot of
I have. Get out
Yeah,
of here. Get
Nah.
out of here.
it's a Stallone movie. Anyway,
okay, let's start with Vince.
okay, it's Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie where he's trying to arm wrestle to win his kid,
Oh, we put the same thing.
Okay.
and it's true.
Okay.
He wins at the end.
Jeanette.
He arm wrestles the best, and then the court decides he's a better parental figure.
Okay, what's the name of the person trying to win Billy?
Ted is the name of the person who is
Is
trying
it
to
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? And
your guess?
yes, he wins custody of him.
Okay.
I like that.
Hold on.
I really have no idea. Oh my god.
All right. Lisa.
This is Kramer versus Kramer. And it is-
Oh.
That's a good guess, but I don't think that's it.
uh-huh.
Ben.
We both happen to put Kramer versus Kramer and false. I have not seen Kramer versus Kramer. Anna, have you
I
seen
haven't
it?
either.
I saw it like years ago. I
Years
don't
ago.
remember the outcome.
Well, it's not looking good for Stallone.
Over the top. It's a Stallone movie.
I
Arm
remember
wrestling.
Meryl crying in the elevator.
Anna, you won.
Anna won. Anna won.
Anna won.
You
The
tried.
dark
Well,
horse.
Doesn't
Congrats. For,
It is.
come
it is
show your face.
it's Kramer
Viewers,
versus
Hi,
Kramer.
everyone.
It's our winner.
Congratulations, Anna. But wait, hold on. What is it? Wasn't true?
No, Meryl Streep gets custody at the end.
She shouldn't have.
She
She had
shouldn't have, but she was.
plenty.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's because of like a very kind of sexist law, if I recall, where it's like, well, the mother has more parental claim, etc., etc.
Where was Ruth Bader Ginsburg in this movie? Damn it.
Clearly not close enough.
Did Lisa come in second though?
Yes.
I
With,
think Lisa
38.
wins because Lisa's Lisa's on the
No,
panel.
No, it's all Anna. Anna takes the prize.
And what?
No,
Anna's
Anna
fine.
won. Anna
I was
won.
saying that you should come in second because you weren't in the panel.
I don't know.
She's
about
like, yeah, throw her in.
she's
No,
an
that's she
honorary
won.
guest.
No, look. Like it's on the screen.
Honorary guest.
I love my courtroom dramas.
Yes. They're so good. I want to watch more of them now.
I'll give you a whole list.
Please do. Yes, make
I
me a list. Perfect. All right. Well, there we are, everyone. That's this movie. So I want to do a quick closing go around with the same question I had last week, which is if you were an Academy voter and for whatever reason you decided this was your vote for Best Picture, what would your reasoning be? Or if you're very much against that, tell us why. Let's start with Lisa.
Very much yes for the chaotic bisexualness of it all. And that's it. That's the reason. The chaotic bisexualness of it all.
I love it. All right. Here's the Oscar. Jeanette?
I would have to say, even though it's a well-made movie, I'm staunchly against this getting Best Picture. There's nothing that makes it like stand out as a potential Best Picture. It's a very good movie. I don't think that there's any ticks that make it Best Picture at all.
Vince?
I would vote for it to win the category most flat lighting.
Flat.
It was very flat.
Very real, authentic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flat. like an episode of Star Trek, but that's because they had to crank out 25 episodes a year. So
They had a good excuse.
yeah.
It also went for most French. Most French.
Most French.
French. Right.
Ben and Anna, what are your thoughts?
If I were an Academy voter and I had to make a case for Best Picture for this film, I would say most believable dog performance in a film. A lot of dogs overact in movies.
Yes.
This dog was very real. It wasn't trying to be overly cute or cuddly. It just was a real ass dog in a real ass movie.
Yeah.
And that's why it gets my Best Picture vote if
Shout
I'm
out
voting
to
for it.
Snoop.
Shout out to Snoop. Anna, why would you vote for it for Best Picture?
I would not. I would sooner spoil my ballot by writing in May, December. But if I'm going to vote, I'm going to vote for Oppenheimer.
Whoa.
What?
Coming in hot.
I don't think this is a very good movie.
Anna has her takes.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
All right.
Better courtroom movie.
We'll
You
get
know what?
there.
I want to
That's a good
claim the
point.
winning title back from the game now. I'm so offended. Anna.
It's
That
too
is-
late now.
I know my courtroom system.
Damn.
French courtroom system is nonsense, and it drives me insane.
The
Yeah,
French.
it was yeah,
Well, the
this
French suck.
crazy.
The
Yeah.
I would
French.
vote for
I
it
mean,
for
you
being
can make a
good-
movie about how the French suck. I just think you should have something more interesting to say about marriage than what Gone Girl did 10 years ago.
Hey, what if at the end of this movie, when she picks up her son, she walked up to the attic and opened the window and tossed him out and then roll credits?
Traumatizing.
That would be the basic instinct. I'd like
Oh, well, that's a good note to end on. Okay.
Wait,
Thank
what
you.
did Lisa say though?
I said
Chaotic
yes
bisexual.
to the chaotic bisexualness.
Oh, right, you did say
Yes.
that.
Yes, I would vote for it because actually, would I vote for it? No, I would spoil my ballot and write in Little Mermaid. So
Oh
there-
my god.
I said what I don't know if I would, but I said what I said. I have to commit to it. Here we go. All right, everyone, do the thing. Tell us who you are, where we can find you, and anything else you want us to know. We'll start with Vince.
Oh, hey, folks. My name is Vince. You can find me at Vinny Ridge Media on pretty much any social media platform. You know, you got your Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You got your Instagram, your TikToks, your YouTubes. I'm on them all, you know, and I do paranormal stuff. In fact, this week, I'm doing an exclusive interview with a Vietnam War vet who claims he's seen the Vietnam rock ape. So keep an eye out for that. It gets pretty wild.
I'm
Also, if there was an alternate title for this film, I think, like, you've heard of Death of a Salesman, right? This film should have been called Death of a Soy Boy Beta Cuck. Anyway, have a good evening, everyone. I've been Vince.
Hi, I'm Ben Gordon. I'm Matt's friend from school, and I love popping by to chat movies with my friend Matt and all of my new friends on Teacup for One. This is Abby the Cat. You can find me on Twitter/X at It's Ben Gordon, where I'll be maybe testing out some new lyrics for this song that we're going to write for the prospective Oscar winners. And you can also find me on Instagram at It's Ben Gordon as well. And Anna, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Anna Swanson, and often rewatching Law and Order episodes.
Oh yeah, Anna's a critic. Anna writes for Film School Rejects sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
it's a lot of
I'm
fun.
around.
She's around these parts.
She is. Well,
I also have a degree in film.
oh,
So, you know.
where? No, we'll discuss
U
later.
of
No,
T.
tell us from where? U of T?
Yeah.
How
No, go York, right, Matt? The York boys.
Yeah, York. Yeah. Yeah, great. Neither of us are professional critics, Ben.
No, that's true. Exactly.
So
I'm
go
an
U of T.
unprofessional critic.
Go U of T.
Go U of T, baby.
Yes. Thank you, friends. Thank you for bringing the cat. Woo.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. And if you are all craving for some more bisexual chaos in your life, I've written a play that I am workshopping in Toronto. And if you want an invite to it, let me know on Instagram because it's called Queer Panic.
Woo.
And it may be programmed at a theater near you.
So excited. Thank you, Lisa. It's Jeanette.
Hello, I'm Jeanette. You can find me here on D Cup for One pretty much every time that we're doing this. I'm excited for the rest of Oscar month. And you can find me on We Like Theme Parks podcast, a new episode every Thursday. And you can find me on Instagram at TinkerJ787. Yeah, and then that's just me. That's not me doing anything in particular, just being me. So find me there.
Woot. Thank you. And if you're watching, my name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. This is Teacup for One. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We're going to be here the next couple of weeks with Oscar month. And then after the Oscars, we'll move on to other fun marathons. I have some ideas for what they might be, but we'll find out together. Also watch my regular videos. Wizard of Oz Funko Pops just dropped. That's a trending topic. I made some videos about that. And yeah, keep an eye out. More Disney vlogs coming up soon, as well as my review of what we know about Epic Universe, the Epic Universal theme park that's going to make quite the splash in theme park world next year. And ooh, what's this? Ooh, Mel Brooks month. See, so many possibilities. Anyway, yeah. My name is Matt. I have 2 degrees. This has been the Tea Cup for One. How do you end this?